I heard BB's ting, yeah? Yeah. My side girl got a 5S with a screen crack. Still hit me back.
Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast,
where we never finished first because we finished last. Wow, that was the fastest intro song ever in the history of the show.
Just got to it, man. We've got a lot of content to get to today. We got a lot of stuff to...
I didn't even know what was happening there.
You weren't even ready. You were still drinking that beer, I think.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Nice. What are you drinking there? I couldn't tell.
It's a Goose.
It's
Goose
a Goose
Island summertime. It's a Kolsch. I've never had it before. It's pretty good. It's good, nice, easy drinking summertime beer.
Nice. Not bad. I'm sticking a little bit more usual than that. The old...
Busch Light?
I think I got its friend Bud Light with me today.
Oh, yeah. That sucks.
It's whatever. It's what's in the fridge, man.
Yeah.
Dude, did you hear the recent stories? So, Julio Jones and Lucky Whitehead. I mean,
yeah.
Who has worse luck? I'll paint the picture a little bit here in case you guys haven't heard this one yet. So let's start with Julio Jones. Just recently, out on the water, jet skiing, doing some fun summer water activities, whatever. Lost an earring that he had paid over $100,000 for, and now he had to hire a team of divers to try to locate it. One, how the fuck are you going to try to find a diamond in any body of water? I don't understand how that's going to work out.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know. We'll get back to that though. So that's Julio's dilemma. So what I want to ask you is, who's got less luck? Julio losing over $100,000 earring, or Lucky Whitehead, who has had a couple of crazy ass weeks here? He got his dog stolen by a rapper named Bugatti Casino, and then Bugatti therefore demanded $20,000 in ransom for this dog. So long story short, the dog got returned. The rapper Bugatti said that he ended up actually paying $20,000 for the dog and that someone else stole it. So he just wanted his money back. So I'm going to stop right there. Who the hell's paying $20,000 for a dog?
I don't know. Somebody stupid. I've never heard that in my life. Unless they're like a show dog, which is still dumb. That's ridiculous.
Well, regardless, so that all happened. Lucky got his dog back, but so he had to go through all that. And now just recently, he was wrongfully accused of shoplifting. The person that actually did the shoplifting somehow was able to give Lucky Whitehead's name, his date of birth, and his social security number. And then on top of all that, so getting in trouble for that, the Cowboys cut him yesterday before the news came out that it was actually him. And then if you want to make matters worse for Lucky Whitehead, after getting cut by the Cowboys, he got picked up by the Jets.
By the Jets.
Like, who's got it worse, though, between Julio and Lucky Whitehead?
This is the biggest dumbass question I've ever heard in my life. Julio's swimming in money. Literally, his earring is in the water. Like, swimming in money, doesn't matter. Coming off a Super Bowl, just loaded. Best wide receiver in the NFL, doesn't have a care in the world. And he got into he does things that we only dream of, and he loses his $100,000 earring that he can just go buy another one and not really care about.
That's a lot of money, though. Why are you wearing that on the water?
Insert stupid Lucky Whitehead joke here, and then actually think about what this guy got through. His dog got taken. Like, I'm the biggest dog lover in the world. You take my dog, I will fucking murder you.
Right.
Number one.
Especially
Number
if it's
two,
Bugatti Casino.
Based on racial profiling.
Pretty much. Right.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And the Cowboys are full of defensive linemen on their team who have an ongoing history of problems, but they use that as their defense for cutting like Lucky Whitehead in the first place still. So obviously Unlucky Whitehead is the most unlucky one here.
Yeah, dude. After his couple of weeks, he should just change his name.
He has no money.
He just needs to change his name back to Ronald. There's no more Lucky in that dude's name. Like, he needs to go back to Ronald. What I want to ask you, okay, so we can both agree Lucky Whitehead is the winner in this debate.
Yeah.
What do you currently own in your life? And even if this object doesn't have the opportunity to potentially fall into the water, let's just hypothetically say it does. What do you own that you would actually hire a dive team out to go search? Or would you just like, dude, you're not going to find this?
I don't know anything that would hire a dive team to.
My entire house could fall into a ocean or a lake or whatever, and I just punt on it, you know? Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't have the money to hire. The fact that he has the money to hire the dive team to do it pisses me off. Like,
Right.
that's not unlucky at all.
It's almost like a joke at that point.
They could be finding dead people, but they're looking for a goddamn diamond earring off an idiot's ear, and it's ridiculous. Like, you know what? Let's go find dead people and not fucking earrings. All right?
I think Julio stole the diamond from Bugatti Casino. That's where I'm going to leave this.
Maybe.
Last week, we were able to talk about our RB2s, our 13 through 24 ranked guys, and now this week we're talking about the upper echelon, the cream of the crop here. So, with that being said, running backs 1 through 12. Let's kick it off with your guy, and I'll interject as we go here because we're probably going to have a couple same along the top.
I feel like I should start from the bottom and then I'm here. What do you think about that?
You can go whatever order you'd like.
I think I want to start number 12 because it's building up to the top.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to start at number 12. At number 12, I had Todd Gurley. Number 11, I had Marshawn Lynch. Switch it up on you. I hope I'm not throwing you off.
No, that's fine. You can, if you have little nuggets you want to throw in about those guys, you can. What I wanted to bring up, do you have anything you want to say about Gurley right away?
No, not too much about Gurley. I think he's a hard one because you just don't know still with the offensive line and people loading up the box. I'm hoping they'll open up the offense a little bit more, and you know Todd Gurley is one of the more talented running backs regardless of what happened last year. So you almost have to rank him at the back end of that first round.
You sort of threw me off there by going the other way, but I'll ask my question now. I was going to save this for the end when you were done because I knew Gurley was your 12th. Is there a running back outside of your top 12 that you think you might come around on and could overtake Gurley as your final RB1?
Fuck. Potentially, I'm trying to think who I had outside of my top 12. There's, LeGarrette Blount's right behind him. I had him right there. Obviously, I think he's on the cusp. As I just told you beforehand, the Eagles are ranked as one of the best offensive lines by Pro Football, the best offensive line going into the 2017 season. That was back in June that this article is from, but that's pretty close to now. So that obviously him, and then I'm going to sound like a homer, but I feel like if Amir Abdullah can stay healthy for an entire season.
No way. You can't put Amir Abdullah as an RB1, man. You're drunk.
With his ability to probably be on the field first, second, and third down in that Lions offense and how much he can be used in so many different ways.
Is that you drinking again?
Potentially can be up in the top 12. I don't think it takes a lot to be up in those top 12.
See, I do, and there's no way in my mind that I don't have Abdullah in my top 24. So, there's no way I'm having him in my top 12. It just doesn't make sense to me. He hasn't.
Frank Gore was number 12 last year, just so you know. And Latavius Murray was right outside that. It doesn't take a lot to be... Yeah, 12 and 13 were Frank Gore and Latavius Murray. So I'm not going to put it past Amir Abdullah in any sense of the word.
Murray had a couple of breakout games. He had that Sunday night game against the Broncos where he had 3 touchdowns. He had some actually legit games. He was scoring a touchdown almost every week for a while there.
But he's not a great running back at all by any means.
Well, that just kind of goes to show, though. I mean, Oakland's offensive line, you hype them up all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I can't do that with Abdullah. I asked the question, so I get what I deserve. I'm fine with it. I was just curious. So you can go on. So you had Gurley 12, Lynch 11.
Lynch 11.
So
again, Oakland's offensive line with a great running back there.
There you go, throwing me off again. I have another question for you here. So obviously Lynch didn't play last year, but his last year was 2015. He only played 7 games. And in those 7 games, he averaged 9.7 fantasy points per game, which if you take a look at it, you can't really judge his running back ranking because other people played a full season. So if you look at those who pretty much played full seasons on a per game, he's in that 16 to 18 area. And that's Seattle. And Seattle loved him. And They won a Super Bowl with him. They should have won 2 Super Bowls with him. And he was in like that 16 to 18 range. How after a year off can you just automatically make him an RB1?
Well, so I was listening to a little Stefania Bell the other day, and I don't remember what injury he had in 2015, but she was saying that the injury that he had compared to what other players have had, and the studies that the people that she has talked to have had similar injuries or the same injury, have not felt fully healthy until after a year's rest. So that gave me a little confidence, because obviously that's where she works, that's her expertise. So I listen to people like that when it comes to injuries like this, because she does seem to be pretty smart in this area. Plus, he's going to play behind that Oakland offensive line, and he's a better running back than all 3 of those guys.
Right.
And they
I agree
were
with that.
top 10 rushing yards all of last year, and he's going to score all their touchdowns that they run in pretty much. So
I do agree with that. It's the fact that he just took time off just really just scares me.
Time off
That
doesn't worry me at all. If anything, it makes me feel better about him.
This is a little off topic, but so Lynch takes a year off, comes back. Kelvin Johnson's taking a year off, and now there's rumors that he might want back. Gun to your head, does Kelvin Johnson play in the NFL again?
I heard he might go to the Raiders. I think yes.
Man, can you imagine that team with Kelvin Johnson?
That would be
Michael Crabtree's literally your 3rd best receiver at that point.
Yeah, and honestly, you're probably running Cooper out of the slot too at that point.
Probably, yes. Then, dude, it's just that would be a nasty offense.
Yeah, that would be nasty.
I just wanted to throw that out there. I didn't really plan on it, but man, that'd be freaking insane.
So, number 12, 11, 10, I had Leonard Fournette, my boy. Then 9, I have DeMarco Murray. That one I'm the most questionable on. DeMarco Murray. I'm scared of. I'm thinking they'll probably run him like they ran him last year. But I like Derrick Henry a lot, and I think they're going to mix him in, obviously more this year than they did last year, which will cut down on his carries. And even if you looked at the end of the year for Tennessee last year, Derrick Henry started to get a lot more carries, and he took away some of those points that I was getting out of him earlier in the season,
right?
In playoffs than I was at the end. So that was really frustrating me. So that worries me on Murray. So I'm hesitant on him, but just forecasting that I still think they're going to run him to the ground until he dies.
You're right.
I'm going to put him there
so, you had him at 9, and so that we can just stay on him. I'll tell you right now, I have him at 8, and I'm going to echo a lot of the things you said. So he started remember, I took him last year in a keeper league that I'm part of in the 1st round, and I hated it. I was so anti-taking him.
I said the same thing.
And it ended up being like one of my best picks. He was one of my top 4 scorers now that year. He started out the year hot. He had double-digit fantasy points weeks 1 through 11. But like you said, towards the end there, Henry was taking some. He only had double digits 2 of the last 5 games, which isn't terrible, but if you're taking him as one of those top running backs, it's something you'd want to stay away from. But, I mean, we've beat this to death. Tennessee's that run-first team, and even if Henry steals touches, Murray's still a lock to be a top 10 running back, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and still, then they're also one of the best offensive lines in the league. They're still in the top 5 as far as running offenses especially. So.
Right.
And they're just getting better through the draft. So
agreed. Cool.
So I'm just going to round the rest of these off, and we can discuss them afterwards. So this doesn't take an hour.
It's going to take an hour.
I'm going to take Devontae Freeman at number 8, Isaiah Crowell at 7, Melvin Gordon at 6, Jordan Howard at 5, Sean McCoy at 4. And then my last 3 are David Johnson 3rd, Zeke Elliott 2, and Le'Veon Bell at number 1.
Man, you just went way too fast there. I wanted to ask you some questions, man.
I know. I said we'll round up the questions after I finished it. You can see it.
Fair enough. All right, let's go back to Isaiah Crowell. So he's your 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th.
Yep.
That's probably the highest I've seen him ranked anywhere.
Yeah, I love him.
We did a Twitter poll today on the obviously on our Twitter account at Loaded Box. If you're not following along, make sure you do. Oh shoot! I promised whoever our 600th follower a shout out. But I woke up and we had more than 600, so I don't know which one it was. So shout out to everyone who followed us last night. I'll see if I can narrow that in sometime and give you a Twitter shout out.
Stop blowing.
I can just writing checks that I can't cash over here, man.
Yeah.
Well, we ended up doing our pre-podcast Twitter poll between who would you take between Jay Ajayi, Leonard Fournette, and Isaiah Crowell. And the J train ran away with it. 74%. Fournette was second with 20%. And Crowell was at the end of that J train at 6%. And you have Crowell ranked higher than all of them. So I want to get your theory on that.
My theory is they were a good offensive line last year that just improved, adding Kevin Zeeton there, returning Joel Bitonio, who's a great run blocker. And then they have Joe Thomas, who everybody knows is just good at everything that he does. They're going to run the ball more. I think Hugh Jackson's made that pretty clear, that he was disappointed in how much that he ran the ball last year. Wants to run it more often this year. I don't know. I just love Isaiah Crowell this year. What else was I going to say on that? And they don't have a quarterback. I mean, they don't have a quarterback that you can really trust, so they need to run the ball in order to keep the other team off the field, right?
Yeah, doesn't that hurt them though? Maybe in the same sense, it's kind of like that whole Jordan Howard situation where you don't have a quarterback.
It really hurt him last year. So
it didn't hurt Howard, it seemed like, which is kind of an anomaly. Like, how did that happen? Like, usually
it just depends on your offensive line. So if you have a good offensive line, then you have more holes to open up. Plus, Crowell's a good back.
Yeah. So I'll tell you right now, I have Crowell ranked at number 12. So he's my very last RB1, but he's a guy that I'm probably going to avoid though. I tweeted about it yesterday from our account that the guys towards the end of my RB1s, if that's my best running back available, and then I have receivers, I'll probably take the receiver and take my chance with a later running back, because I'll tell you right now, I've got Jordan Howard ranked 9th. I'm probably going to try to avoid that just based on my strategy of not taking guys right away that are on crappy teams. So Howard at 9, Leonard Fournette at 11. I think he's going to get overdrafted. I don't think I'm going to have a chance at him. And then the guy you're talking about, Isaiah Crowell, I have him at 12th. And I do think he's underrated. I understand what you're saying there, but he's a really good running back on a shitty team. And in 2016,
Improving team.
Yeah, improving once they finally get a quarterback, but it's going to be a little while in my eyes. And
one more year.
Yeah, maybe. Last year he finished as running back 14. He had a stretch of 4 games where his highest fantasy football output was 7 points. That's how you lose games. If you're taking a guy in the early 3rd round, that's like his average draft position right now. If he's getting you a high of 7 points in a 4-game stretch, that could kill your season.
I don't see this at all. Last year?
Yeah.
I do not have that on my books. He had 10 games over 10 points.
He had a stretch in the middle, I believe, where it was a stretch of 4 games where his high was 7.
Nope.
On NFL.com scoring it was anyways.
I don't have that at all. I have a stretch of 2 games where he went maybe 5 points, but then he scored 16. I don't have anywhere near that at all.
You're going to need to check and make sure you're not on 2015 there.
What?
You're probably on 2015 data.
Nope, I'm on 2016.
Well,
I'm going to disagree with this.
Man, so you're calling my bluff.
Yes.
We'll solve it. We'll solve it after the episode. But man, that's just. I think it's too consistent. I think he's on too inconsistent of a team with no quarterback. And I'll say it again: these running backs towards the end of these RB1s for me, I will take the receiver over these running backs.
Yeah, I'm a big Isaiah Crowell fan. He's one I'm going to be trying to scoop up this year. If I have a late round pick, I'm going to try to grab him. Late pick obviously in the first round. He's one guy I'm super high on.
Yeah. Well, let's kick all the way to the top here. So we're both have Le'Veon Bell number 1. According to what my computer says anyway, he failed to reach double-digit fantasy points just 1 time last year, and he posted at least 20 points in 5 of his last 7 games. So remember, too, he was suspended the first 2 games of the season, correct? And then he didn't even play Week 17 because it was a meaningless game. He still caught 75 freaking balls. So regardless of the game plan, he's always going to be in it, whether the Steelers are ahead or behind. If you're catching 75 passes and you miss 3 games, that's pretty damn impressive. So he's not only my RB1, he's my top overall pick. Is he your top pick in fantasy drafts this year for sure?
He's my number 1 pick, no doubt, in my mind.
So you have Zeke Elliott number 2. I have David Johnson number 2. Why do you give Zeke the slight edge over David Johnson?
It's based off of just purely off of the offensive line that Zeke's running behind. I can't. If I want for sure points every single week, I mean, if I have to rely on one of the two of them to give me a good amount of points every single week, especially in the playoffs, I'm going to rely more on the Cowboys, who are going to be in every game, where I don't know what the Cardinals are going to show, especially after last year. They make me nervous where there's times they can just be airing it out. And Bruce Arians likes to throw it downfield. And I know David Johnson's involved in that passing game, and I like David Johnson. I love him.
Well, obviously, with him being your third guy, I mean, he's got to be up there.
Consistent with Ezekiel Elliott. What?
Yeah, I was just saying that. You obviously like him with him being your number 3 guy, but yeah, I'm just wondering what your slight nod was there.
That's it. It's just that one little.
Are you going, let's say in a draft then, let's say it goes Le'Veon Bell, Zeke Elliott, are you taking Johnson 3?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm taking those top 3. Also, are you looking at – so Le'Veon Bell was suspended 3 games last year.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And then he had the not
Are you
bye.
looking at the 2015?
Right. No, I meant 3. I got the numbers mixed up because he also didn't play Week 17, so it's technically 4 games.
PPR scoring that I'm looking at or something like that.
It might be.
It doesn't specify here, but he didn't have one game under double digits according to what I have here.
That's probably the difference then. You're probably looking at the PPR, which is fine. I think most leagues are kind of split on that anyways. You're either doing – it almost seems like everyone's doing half or full anyways nowadays, but topic for another day. But I'm with you. So your 3 overall are Bell, Elliott, Johnson, and that's how you would take him in a draft. And I'm right there with you. Like, I'm taking Bell, and then I'm taking David Johnson, and then I'm taking Zeke. And the reason I'm taking David Johnson over Zeke, well, one, because he was fantastic to me last year. The dude was incredible. He is the modern day Marshall Faulk in my eyes. He led all fantasy running backs in points. He's here to stay. Like, he does everything so well. And Carson Palmer, there was like the rumors of him maybe not coming back. Him coming back another season only helps. If Carson Palmer would have retired, I would have put Zeke over David Johnson for sure. But with Palmer being back, I'm going all in on Johnson again this year. He's clear-cut my second pick. And the thing about Zeke that I wanted to ask, so he's my 3rd pick. He's with an awesome offensive line. That negative is that whole off-field thing. Like,
with Zeke Elliott?
Yeah, like, then it's not the reason really why I have Johnson ahead of him. I really like David Johnson. I'm going to ride that wave as long as I can. I think he's the hot hand right now. I think Zeke's the up-and-comer. He's going to be a top guy for the next 5-6 years, kind of like Adrian Peterson when he was in his heyday. But does that off-field stuff affect you drafting Elliott at all?
Not really, because it all seems so far like smoke and mirrors. Like, none of it actually happened. And
I know, but it seems like when there's always, where there's smoke, there's fire, though, it seems like. Like, some of that stuff has to be true.
He had the text messages from that one chick that proved that she was making shit up. And I don't know, I didn't look this far into it, but was the same girl the one what was this last thing that they were talking about that he was involved in?
Yeah, the recent thing just right now before he took that girl's titty out.
Yeah.
There's video.
What was the most recent thing?
Dude, the guy's he's like the Saw murderer, man. He's always doing some shit, man.
I don't know. I feel like all of it's just like, I feel like he got a fall. Oh, was that the punch the DJ in the face thing?
Might have been.
He's the one they said.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so he got his fall guy like Chris Carter taught him.
That's what it was, yeah.
He was the fall guy that he fell back on.
He went to Chris Carter U, man.
So I think he's good. I think he's good to go. He did his fall back guy.
I like it. But I think he's got to get that Des Bryant treatment where he gets a babysitter. Like,
babysitter.
Just don't let that guy out on his own anymore. It's such a terrible idea.
Des Bryant was probably with him.
Des Bryant probably was. Des Bryant's learned too, man. He's got that fall guy. Yeah, Chris Carter's smarter than what people give him credit for. He was just
Yeah,
willing
I
to.
don't know about
He was
that.
just willing to share his knowledge with young guys at that symposium. They shouldn't have They shouldn't have tape recorders there recording that stuff, anyways. That should be
I
between
know,
the
that's
guys in the
ridiculous.
league.
That should be a lockdown type of meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. My number 4 guy. So you had Melvin Gordon 6. I had Melvin Gordon 4.
Yep.
In 2016, he was the 8th highest scoring running back, and he only played in 13 games. But in 2015, his rookie year, he played in more. He played in one more game.
Oh,
Yeah, adult onset puberty, man.
yeah, I heard that.
Let me start over. His rookie year played in 14 games, so one more than last year, but he was running back 51. So we really have a small sample size for Gordon. Do you think he's a potential bust candidate this year? I mean, I have him 4, you have him 6. Do you think there's a realistic chance he finishes outside of the top 12, 15?
No, the best thing that the Chargers did after 2015 is add some offensive line and run blocking. Gordon's 2015 was a fluke. I think he's a good running back. And I'm probably the most anti-Badger guy there is. Like, I hate J.J. Watt and Russell Wilson, mainly because they play for the Badgers. But he's too talented to have a fluke season like that with the offensive line improving out there. I think they're still going to lean on him a lot this year as well. I expect similar performance to last year.
Yeah, I like him. I'm not opposed to drafting him. I have him ranked 4. I have LaShawn McCoy ranked 5. I feel like Melvin Gordon is a potential bust candidate, but I have more faith in him than I do McCoy. And I'll go into McCoy real quick. I think he's a real good candidate for a regression. Last year he had 14 total touchdowns. Man, I got a pile of. Can you hear all my cans?
Yeah. You must be drunk.
Been drinking. So I said McCoy last year had 14 total touchdowns. In both 14 and 2015, he had 5 touchdowns each of those years, and now he's 29 years old. So he's near that magic 30-year-old deal where he's waking up in the morning, or he's waking up in the middle of the night to take a piss. Speaking of which,
that all the time.
Dude, do you have to do that every single night?
I've been doing that
now
for
that you're 30?
3 years, man. I pee all the time. I've been experiencing this 30. I pee like 4 times a night at least.
I was like, last night I did a double, and it pissed me off.
That's it?
I had to get up twice.
I've never not got up at least 3 times.
What happens when you turn 40?
You die.
We are totally fucked,
You're
dude.
dead. You actually just sleep on top of the toilet with your dick in it. Like, fucking, you just don't get off the toilet. Just leave it there.
We legit need to invent like a lay down toilet where you can just lay there with your
like
pants
in your
off.
bed or something where you can just piss from there. Like, babies get diapers. We need that shit.
I'm not opposed to just like hooking up like full-time catheter at night, man, and just letting it fly.
For sure. I don't know about anything inside my penis, but
That's
if I
true.
can just have my penis in a hole that I can dump out in the morning the next day, I'm okay with that.
Dude, we're gonna be single so fast.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, where I was going with this whole McCoy thing is he's getting that magical age of 30, and I like him. We had him in a league that we were in together last year, and he did really well. But what scares me is I have a feeling the way that I'm ranking these running backs, I want one of the top 3 or 4 guys, or I'm gonna wait a little while because I have so many question marks. There's a couple of guys sprinkled in that we'll get to that I am high on that I might be able to sneak out, but I don't know. I normally hope that I get like a mid to late round pick. I almost want like a top 2-3 pick this year, just so I can get one of those stud running backs, and then I'll make it work from there.
I want a late pick because I want Jordan Howard.
See, I don't want Howard. That's why
I want him.
I'm just a little bit off on him. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got 3 running backs and then about 3 wide receivers, I think, and then the rest running backs, maybe 4 wide receivers probably.
That's why I'm kind of
The rest
looking.
running backs.
I haven't had a draft yet, but I'm looking forward to it just because I think the way, and I feel like you echo a lot of people's opinion on that, and I'm hoping it goes that way. My number 6 guy. Well, no, what I'm saying is like if all those running backs go, I won't be tempted to take one of those guys that I'm a little leery on. So I'll just take a stud receiver, maybe come back with another receiver, and then by that time I'll hit one of my mid-level running backs that I'm high on a lot of mid-level running backs. So if I can get,
I hate all of them.
I just go back to back on both of those guys, and I'll be fine. One guy I am high on, though, my number 6 guy, is Devontae Freeman. He had 13 touchdowns last year, and we talked about Coleman in the last episode. He had 11. I like both these guys. I will be plenty happy if I get Freeman or Coleman because that offense it's elite. They were 5th last year in the NFL in rushing yards per game, and they were 1st in the NFL in points per game, and they were the only team to average more than 30 points per game. When you're scoring that many points and when you're getting that many yards, there's, like I said, there's only one ball. You already have Julio Jones, you have Freeman, you got Coleman, you got Sanu, you've got Hardy, you've got Taylor Gabriel, but they're on the field, they're getting yards, they're getting points. Well, you got to say him. He's a guy.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't want him, but he's a guy though.
I mean, he gets the ball when they feel like it.
Right, but what I'm getting at is I'm totally fine with taking Freeman or Coleman. So I have Freeman as 6. My bold prediction from our bold prediction episode was Lamar Miller finishing as a top 7 running back, and that's exactly where I have him.
Yep.
We did that episode before Deontay Foreman's recent troubles.
Yeah, he's a drunk.
Yeah, man, that's a shame. I really wanted him to be there because
I figured you were disappointed. We haven't discussed this yet. I thought you'd be upset about that.
I know, and I am. This seems backwards in fantasy. I wanted less workload for Lamar Miller despite me drafting him because we talked about this before. I had stats that backed it up. Lamar Miller was more impactful when he was asked to do less. Yeah. And that's exactly what I want out of him. So I'm not going to flake on Miller. I'm going to stick with my prediction. I think he stays as a top 7 running back. So I have him at 7. Number 8 was DeMarco Murray. We already went into that. Number 9 was Jordan Howard. We touched on that a little bit. I like Howard in that line, but no quarterback on that team just makes me want to avoid him. But also, to your credit, they didn't have a quarterback last year either, and he finished 2nd in the NFL in rushing yards.
Yep, as a rookie. So, and he didn't even play like the first 4 games.
That is a great point as well. Do you have a feeling maybe, do you believe in a sophomore slump? Can that be a thing for Howard?
Nope, I expect Jordan Howard to be a top 5 running back.
Oh, man, I don't want to put that much stock in a guy that plays for the Bears. Like, taking him in the 1st or 2nd round.
Offensive line's incredible. He's great. And I love it. Plus, I mean, the only rush defense they have to play against in the NFC North is the Vikings.
That's true. He's got some favorable matchups on the ground anyways.
Yep.
My number 10 guy is Jay Ajayi. We've talked about him a lot as well. I think he's just going to be in line for so many touches. He's another guy that I'm really – with the Dolphins in general, their offensive guards scare the shit out of me. But if Ajayi's the best running back on the board when I'm up, and I'm between him and like a receiver that I'm okay with, Ajayi's one of those running backs that I would actually take, probably over that receiver, just because trying to get a running back that dominates carries the way that Ajayi will is really hard to find. So he's probably that last guy in this 12 area that I'm going to take over one of those elite receivers. Not even elite receivers, but like legit, like pretty good, like starting number 1 receivers. Number 11, I got Fournette. Dude, look at the pictures of this guy. Is he not the Greg Oden of the NFL?
Who's that?
Leonard Fournette. Why is he so old?
Peterson. He's Adrian Peterson.
How many grades did this dude fail in school?
He's Adrian Peterson.
That dude pees twice a night. I guarantee it.
Maybe.
I already told you, I'm not going to end up with Fournette in the draft this year, but I think he gets a pile of touches. I think he gets over 1,000 yards. I think he's over 10 touchdowns. I think he's worth being an RB1. I'm scared of him being the rookie and the questionable offense and taking him in the 2nd round of the draft where his ADP is. And I know you and a lot of other people are comfortable with that. I just can't get behind him right now. And then 12 was Crowell, and we already talked about that as well. So
let's go back to Jay Ajayi real quick.
Fair enough.
So, do you remember C.J. Anderson and my prediction of him last year?
I do. That was depressing.
Jay Ajayi is C.J. Anderson.
No.
Yes. Except he doesn't. Maybe he won't get injured, but he's just as garbage as what C.J. Anderson was when he was playing.
Okay, but the Broncos.
They are the same running back. They're just these bowling ball idiots who don't know how to fucking read a
No
hole
way,
and only
dude.
can run into one spot.
No, Ajayi's jump cut, once he gets like out of the first level into the second level, is actually really legit. And the difference here between the Broncos were a good team, even when, like, because Manning, like, even though Manning regressed, Manning didn't have the arm, he still had the brain. Manning was still there mentally to make that offense click. When they were with Simeon and Lynch last year, they didn't have that. They didn't have the threat at quarterback. They didn't have the brains at quarterback. Tannehill's been there for 6 years now. You know what you're going to get out of him. That consistent quarterback play is going to be there. No, I'm saying, but there's not, like, Ajayi's safe, though. Like, there's no way he falls like Anderson did.
Not safe at all. All of his scoring came in 4 games, man.
But if anything, though, that offense,
Ajayi, the 22nd best run blocking offense in the league last year. Like,
think about how many games they played unhealthy, though.
There's nothing safe about Jay Ajayi. There's not even close to anything safe about Jay. He might have he may have a high ceiling and maybe the lowest floor of any of these top 12 running backs.
See, I disagree with that. Like, I think
not even close.
I think Ajayi could finish as high as a top, like maybe like number 5 running back, 5 or 6.
Finish in the top 10, I can guarantee it.
The lowest I could see him finishing is like 12.
No, you're unbelievable.
That's why I literally think he's locked into that position. That's why I think he's such a safe pick.
Lowest you can see Jay Ajayi.
Put it on your put it on the prediction board.
Yep, it's going on the fucking board.
Put it on the prediction board. Jay Ajayi is a guaranteed top 12 finish, and that's what makes him a legit running back to target.
Nope.
Because I have doubts about McCoy. I have doubts about Howard. I have doubts about Gordon. I have doubts about Crowell. I don't have those kind of doubts about Ajayi.
The biggest doubt in your mind should be Jay Ajayi. He's the most questionable running back out of every. I can't even fathom drafting him.
I don't know why. I understand that you pride yourself on your rankings of running backs, and you do have a good track record. I've known you forever. You've done a really good job. I'll admit to that. You've done a great job predicting running backs. I think you're missing something with Ajayi here.
I don't like him. I just don't like his style. Doesn't have the speed to get outside the edge. I just don't like it. I don't like anything about him.
He doesn't have that speed, but his yards after contact, he was hit at the line of scrimmage so many times last year and still would get 3 or 4 yards.
Doesn't that worry you a little bit as well? Just the fact that he's getting hit that early?
Well, that's not his fault, though.
What's the chances that he's going to... Well, I mean, he sucks either way, but now the combination of him sucking and he's getting hit in the backfield, not a good combo.
Mike Pouncey just got a clean bill of health. He wasn't expected to do anything until week 1. It looks like he's a clear go to do everything now in this offseason. They'll ease him back in.
Probably got a clear bill of health too. So
RG3 is basically has Gumby knees, man.
RG3 is going to get injured sitting on the fucking couch tomorrow watching a training camp practice.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, who suffers worse knee injuries than that guy? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Not even fair.
I hate that guy.
Do you have any other questions or things you want to bring up about my top 12 list?
No, you hit on Lamar Miller, which I was going to kind of... Did you hit on Lamar Miller? I was going to ask about... You did hit on Lamar Miller. I was going to ask about him. I agree mostly with Sean McCoy. Devontae Freeman, I'm like... I probably won't draft him in any league, but he's a solid running back. And I think... who likes him, drafting him because he's consistent, but for some reason I'm not going to draft him. He's going to be a consistent running back and score you points, but I'm just not on I just can't do it.
I know, and that's exactly what I'm trying to say for a couple of these guys. Like, I'm not opposed to him. I'm high on him this year, but I just can't draft him. I think only you in your head can really fathom what that means, and I'm sure everyone listening.
I just see myself, and the reason I just see myself valuing somebody else at the position that he'd be taken.
Right, like you have to rank him there because that's where he deserves to be ranked. Yeah, but in your head, you're just like, I can't take him.
Yeah, I feel like I have a receiver there that I could grab instead of Devontae Freeman in the spot that he'd be available.
Right. So. I totally get that. Let's move on to some listener questions, and
Here we go.
follow us on Twitter so you can get some of these in here, because we're not only are we taking football questions, but we're taking anything you want. Drunken dilemmas, relationship questions and advice, whatever you have, you can throw at us. And we got a pretty good one here for you, DJ. So the question via Twitter: if DJ had to eat a plate of cat poop, or Aaron Rodgers would break his leg week 1, would you eat the poop?
You know, I thought this question was going to end in if DJ had to eat a plate of cat poop, or Aaron Rodgers would break his leg week 1, how much cat poop would he eat? Because I would definitely eat the poop. so there's no doubt about that one. I would eat that poop.
Have you ever ate cat poop
The
before?
question is, how much do I have to eat?
Yeah, I don't know if that's fair. I've never owned a cat, so I don't know what like a typical serving of cat poop
Get
is.
over here and lick this white dog shit.
Have you ever ate cat poop before?
I've definitely not eaten cat poop, but if Aaron Rodgers is breaking his leg, I'm eating the poop.
What happens when it gets like it's in your mouth though, and then you're just like, oh my god, this is cat shit, and it tastes terrible. Like you're gonna spit it out.
I'm not chewing that shit. I'm not chewing it. I'm just swallowing it. That's what she said.
Hit us up at Loaded Box. Get some more of these kind of questions in here. This is what we want to answer. We want to answer hypotheticals. We want to give you advice. We want to help your life out as much as possible. We're here to tell you when you're 30, you're going to wake up to piss all throughout the night.
Yeah.
We've got experience. We've got real life experience here.
We are old as fuck. Like, my ass itches all the time. We can tell you all about it. Goldbot. Let's go. We got all the advice. If you got questions, if you're going into college, we've been there. If you're going to be 30, we've been there. If you're fucking a high school kid and you like a girl, we've been there, you know? You might like a boy, too. Whatever.
Oh, if you're fucking a high school kid.
Yeah, whatever. Been there.
We're there for you. We do have one other question as well that's it's a little bit more boring. It's football related.
Yeah.
Is the zero running back strategy a one and done strategy? Meaning, was that a thing last year and it's extinct now?
It might be, because I've never seen it happen before, and then the one year we go ahead and do it, after the year they fall, after the year the running back falls apart, it hurts people. It hurt me.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. Zero running back is basically not grabbing a running back for the first 2 rounds, is what that means. So, yeah, I think I don't think people, I think there's going to be people that just are like, no. Most people are going to be like, no, I'm not falling into that again. It was a one-time thing. It hurt me. I'm probably in that case. If the running backs have a down year 1 year, I'm not going to just expect that to happen again the next year. There's always going to be good running backs on a team that are going to score points. So, yeah, no, I don't. I think that's never going to happen again. But I like the zero tight end strategies back here. I
was just going to say, you're going to be innovative, though. You're going to move it down a couple positions and go with tight end and just see what happens.
I actually mean zero fucking tight ends. All right? No tight ends on your roster.
I am excited for this, for after our first draft, for you to post your roster and just, I don't know, man, if it works out, you could be loaded at stud positions. You might even hit on like, maybe you'll hit on like a real late tight end.
Yeah. I'll be grabbing a one off the board to put in my lineup, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you on the running back thing. I don't think you can go all out zero running back strategy and actually compete anymore.
Yeah. That and the fact that I guess I'm adding one more thing, that Allen Robinson and DeAndre Hopkins were such disappointments the year after as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, if you went back-to-back Robinson and Hopkins, I mean, you kind of got – you basically ate cat shit if you were doing that.
Yeah, you ate cat. You did. You already ate cat shit.
So I was thinking about this question, and I think the latest that you can go without drafting a running back is the 3rd, maybe the 4th. So if you're waiting till the 4th, and you can potentially get a guy like Spencer Ware, Mark Ingram, or Adrian Peterson.
Don't do it.
But I'm just saying, like, those would be the last 3 guys that I'm even semi-comfortable with as my RB1.
Yeah. According to my rankings, don't draft one past this. Don't wait at the 2nd round to draft your first running back. I can't see it happening, because then it's going to be like the running backs in 2015.
Yeah, I'm thinking you could potentially go 3, but you can't go 4. And I don't think you'd want to go 4. The only way you could go 4 is if you went receiver, quarterback.
No, yeah, you're much better going off running back.
Or if
You're
you're
much better off not taking a receiver in the first 2 rounds and not taking a running back.
right, I was gonna say, or maybe if you ended up diving into like the tight ends.
Yeah.
But that'd be the only way. Give me a second here. I'm gonna look up some
I can do it.
some tight end ADPs. So if you're taking Rob Gronkowski, you're taking him at the end of the second. So that'd be one way to do it. Otherwise, your next two are Travis Kelce at the beginning of the fourth or Jordan Reed at the end of the fourth. So if you're going receiver, Gronkowski, quarterback, and then running back in the fourth round, I think I hit your team.
Yeah. One of my biggest strategies this year is I think if depending on where I'm picking, if I'm snaking, I might if I'm like top or like last 3 guys in a 12-team standard league, I think I'm more likely, and we've talked about this before, I'm more likely to go running back. Like I'm looking personally, and I'm hoping our friends aren't listening, but I'm looking Howard, like Fournette, and then grabbing Devontae Adams. The way he's dropped, he's going like 4th or 5th round in leagues. And
Right.
the 3rd round was my number 1 wide receiver.
Well, and especially if you believe that he is a wide receiver one, if you think he outscores Jordy Nelson, if you're getting him as your receiver one in the 3rd round, yeah, if your strategy works, you never know, really. You can go into a draft with a strategy. I do it every year. I think I go into a draft with a strategy.
Yeah.
It never really pans out the way you think.
No, it doesn't.
But
That's the beautiful thing about the draft.
yeah, so it's kind of like you have guys that you're targeting, you have an idea in mind, but you have to be flexible. You have to go with how the draft goes. I think at the end of the day, that's the only advice. It's not great advice, but it's the only advice that you can really give that's actually true.
I would honestly tell everybody not to pass up running backs in the first 2 rounds. I honestly believe that you need to get rid of those first 2-round running backs, like the guys that would go on that. If you don't, you're in a world of hurt, and you're going to be on the waiver wire a shit ton hoping to get one of those. And also, when it comes to waiver wire, if you're doing just waivers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, change it. Do the free agent auction bid.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
that's way better.
Yeah.
Where you get a certain amount of.
Yeah, when you actually get like the money, that's so much better than like the waiver priority listings.
I hate that.
I do too. And the thing too with relying on the waivers too, like you said, like maybe I'm going to wait till the 3rd or 4th round to get that running back, and then your running back position is just weak, for lack of a better term. In order for you to hit that one, there always is 1 or 2 guys on the waiver wire that will pop at running back. The odds of you being that guy, you got to get pretty lucky.
Yep.
Like, yeah, you want to be active on the waiver wire. You don't want to jump the gun on somebody, but there is going to be a guy or 2 that pops. So you just you got to get lucky. And especially if you're doing it like the auction style, where you have X amount of dollars, like $100 to play with throughout the entire season. You gotta have a hell of a strategy with that, because you can't blow it all right away. But at the same time, you don't want to just sit on it the whole year and then not have any pickups. So we could dedicate a whole episode to that, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, absolutely. I love it.
I like that better because at least everybody has an opportunity, and that's why people like the auction drafts in general, because everybody's opportunity at one guy.
Everyone's
the reason
on
I
the
like
board.
the regular drafts over the auction draft is because it takes a certain strategy to have to pick in a certain spot,
Right.
and ever changing, and know what guy you can go after. You are targeting certain guys in auctions, no matter what. And you're trying to run
for
other
sure.
people up like that. So I like the choice of, like, you don't know who's going to go, and you need to adjust on the fly. I think that takes, in my opinion, it takes more skill.
Right. It's kind of like the NFL draft in that sense, where
Exactly.
my guy got taken, now I need to improvise.
Yeah. You don't see them bidding on guys in the NFL. That'd be like a black market.
Yeah, it'd be like the NBA.
It's racist.
Nice. You got anything else?
Well, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thanks once again for listening. Tweet any questions you'd like answered on Twitter at LoadedBox. We're available on iTunes by searching Loaded Box. So thanks to everyone that subscribed and reviewed so far. And if you haven't yet, you probably should get on that. So thanks again for listening. DJ, send us out.
Fuck Matthew Berry.
F. Matt Berry.